The year 1886 whispers to us from the shadows. Helena Blavatsky, the enigmatic mystic whose words pulse like a phantom heartbeat across centuries, foretold a cosmic purge, a reckoning that would fracture civilizations, leaving humanity gasping in the debris of its own hubris. Now, her disciples insist the hour has come. 2025 looms, a blood-red horizon where climate infernos, rogue algorithms, and the collective scream of global unrest converge with eerie, almost scripted precision. Are these cascading crisis glaciers weeping into rising seas? AI slipping its ethical leash? Streets erupting in primal fury, evidence of Blavatsky's prophecy unfurling? Or have we, in our arrogance, summoned the apocalypse ourselves? Her cryptic scroll, "The fifth race shall fall before the sixth arises," haunts like a curse etched in twilight. Consider the parallels. A world feverish with synthetic intelligence, yet spiritually barren, ecosystems buckling under the weight of human hunger, democracies dissolving into data-driven Each headline feels like a stanza in her dark liturgy. Skeptics dismiss her as a charlatan, a relic of Victorian occultism. But what if her vision was never about prediction, but provocation? A mirror held to humanity's fatal dance with progress. The clock ticks. The fifth race, us, the architects of this fragile epoch, tumbles blindly toward an inflection point. Will 2025 be our requiem, or the violent birth pang of whatever comes next? The answer, perhaps, lies not in the stars, but in the choices we make in the trembling now. In the smoke-choked parlors of 19th-century Europe, where seances blurred into science and God seemed to retreat before the march of industry, Helena Blavatsky emerged a sphinx in crinoline, conjuring worlds beyond the veil. The founder of Theosophy, author of the esoteric colossus The Secret Doctrine, and self-proclaimed scribe of ascended masters. She preached a cosmology drenched in blood and rebirth, civilizations as ephemeral as candle flames, rising and falling to the rhythm of cosmic cataclysms. Humanity, she declared, was but the fifth root race in an endless parade of epics, each birthed in chaos, each doomed to collapse when its spiritual rot outweighed its wisdom. Her voice, preserved in crackling archival recordings, still rasps with chilling certainty. Chaos is the womb of the new world, but few will survive its birth. Yet, for all her prophecies of cyclical apocalypse, Blavatsky herself existed in paradoxa, prophetess revered by anarchists and artists, yet exposed as a fraud by skeptics who catalogued her forged letters and fabricated miracles. Did she truly channel ancient Himalayan mystics? Or was she merely a brilliant charlatan, stitching together Eastern mysticism, Darwinism, and occult spectacle to soothe a disillusioned age? The question lingers like incense. Even now, as New Age acolytes and Silicon Valley technomystics resurrect her vision of transcendent evolution, her legacy pulses with uneasy duality. She condemned materialism yet peddled enlightenment for a fee. She demanded spiritual rigor yet reveled in opulent myth-making. Perhaps her greatest trick was making damnation sound divine. Her root races, not merely extinct societies, but mirrors to our own. When she wrote of Atlantis sinking under the weight of its decadence, or Lemuria devoured by volcanic fury, was she chronicling the past, or scripting a warning to our algorithmically addicted, climate-cursed present? Theosophies, lodestars, karma, cyclic time. The soul's ascent through ruin now feel less like occult fantasy and more like a diagnosis. Blavatsky's world, a hall of smoke and mirrors, forces us to ask, is humanity's expiration date etched in some celestial ledger, or do we, like her, simply hunger for annihilation. The answer, like the woman herself, dwells in the shadows between revelation and deceit. The year 2025 looms in Blavatsky's prophecies like a crack in reality. The moment the fifth root race, our era of feverish innovation and festering inequity, fractures under the weight of its own contradictions. In her secret doctrine, she whispered of a tearing of the veil, where cosmic justice, karmic reckoning, would manifest as fire, flood, and the psychic unraveling of societies. Today, her words curdle into plausibility. Wildfires devour continents with biblical hunger, algorithms rewrite human cognition, and democracies convulse under the strain of metastasizing discord. Are these mere disasters or judgments? Blavatsky's acolytes argue that climate collapse is not random tragedy but a spiritual audit, nature's ledger balancing humanity's debts of greed and exploitation. Meanwhile, the rise of AI, that uncanny mirror of human logic, stripped of empathy, echoes her warning of a psychic revolution, where technology transcends its creators, leaving ethics smoldering in its wake. She prophesied wars of competing truths, and now we drown in them. Deepfakes eroding reality, genocides live-streamed, the very concept of fact splintering into tribal dogma. All this, she claimed, precedes the birth of the sixth race, a new humanity forged in the ashes of the old. Yet Blavatsky's vision is no comfort. Her prose, thick with apocalyptic grandeur, describes purification by fire and flood, a line now paired chillingly with footage of Miami's drowning streets and California's skeletal forests. Skeptics scoff. How convenient, they say, that her Victorian mysticism maps onto modern anxieties, but perhaps that's the point. Blavatsky trafficked in eternal patterns, civilizations that cannibalize themselves, technologies that outpace wisdom, hubris that summons its own ruin. Her 2025 is less a date than a metaphor for humanity's flirtation with oblivion, a year when every headline feels like a rune. Will we interpret the chaos as random noise, or as a warning etched in lightning? The answer hinges on whether we, the fifth race, can confront the storm we've conjured, or if, like Atlantis and Lemuria before us, will become another cautionary myth, whispered by future prophets as they chart their own descent into the maelstrom. Blavatsky's prophecies slither into the 21st century, but modern arbiters of truth strike back with cold, clinical light. She diagnosed the fever but ignored the pathogen. Snaps, a climate scientist, her voice sharp as ice cores. Satellite data glows behind her CO2 graphs, spiking like Fang's ass. She dismantles Blavatsky's karmic reckoning thesis. The atmosphere doesn't care about karma. It obeys physics. Burn fossil fuels, and the planet burns with them. Yet even this refutation carries a shivering truth. Blavatsky's vision of purification by inferno mirrors our lived reality, a metaphor made flesh. Historians, too, enter the fray, their words dusted with the ash of dead civilizations. Apocalypse is humanity's oldest addiction, one in tones, tracing doomsday tropes from Babylonian flood myths to Y2K panic. We don't prophesy the end, we ritualize it. Blavatsky's cyclical collapses are just Ragnarok in a corset. A data graphic pulses on screen, dissecting her hits and misses, jagged lines linking her 19th century mystic ramblings to 21st century ecological disparity. Hit juxtaposed with her laughably botched timeline for an instant utopia arising in the 1890s. But here's the rub. Even her errors haunt. By grafting ancient fears onto modernity's fragile shell, she exposed a nerve. When AI ethicists warn of mind-colonizing algorithms, or sociologists chart the viral spread of conspiracy theories. They echo Blavatsky's psychic revolution in sterile jargon. The scientists' rebuttals are airtight, yet they orbit the same void. Why does her Victorian mysticism, riddled with fraud and fabulism, still resonate? Perhaps because rationality alone can't exorcise the primal thrill of doom. We crave patterns, even false ones, to numb the terror of chaos. Blavatsky's greatest trick wasn't predicting the future, it was refracting humanity's soul deep fears into a story we'd want to believe. The data graphic fades, leaving a question hanging like smoke. Are we facing prophecy or paranoia? The answer lies in the dissonant chorus of our age climate models humming their algorithmic dirges. Historians murmuring plusker change, and somewhere a ghostly chuckle from the grave. You named the storm, it seems to whisper, asterisk, but you still refuse to see your faces in its eye. The human psyche thrums with a dark, primal rhythm, a hunger to end as fervently as we yearn to begin. Apocalypses are seductive lies, declares a psychologist, her voice slicing through the hum of a neon-lit lab. They promise clean slates. Blavatsky's sixth race lets us fantasize about shedding our rotting skin climate sins. Algorithmic ennui, the whole damned mess. Yet this craving for oblivion is more than escapism. It's a survival mechanism gone rogue. A sociologist leans forward, eyes reflecting data screens, charting societal decay in unstable eras. Grand narratives, ever catastrophic ones, become lifelines. Control is an illusion, but stories let us play God. Outside academia, the streets pulse with raw testimony. A teenager shivers into a microphone. Asterisk 2025 just feels heavy, like the skies pressing down. Beside him, a barista rolls her eyes. Asterisk, wake me up when the aliens arrive. Fear and mockery, twin masks for the same existential vertigo. Blavatsky's vision thrives in this dissonance. Her prophecies, a funhouse mirror for our collective psyche. We flock to doomscroll climate reports and AI doomsdays, not out of nihilism, but a perverse faith that if the end has a shape, maybe we can outrun it. Theosophy's purification by fire becomes TikTok's climate collapse. Hashtag, her psychic revolution mutates into viral conspiracy threads. We are addicts of the Eshatan, jonesing for catastrophe because chaos, at least, means something. But here's the rub. Our obsession with endings may be the very toxin we seek to purge. To hunger for apocalypse is to confess our failure to imagine a future worth saving. Blavatsky's ghost lingers, not in seance rooms, but in the pixelated glow of our screens. Her new race, now a digital mob, chanting into the void. The haunting duality remains. Are we prophets of our demise, or architects? The answer flickers in every shared meme, every whispered asterisk, what if? Asterisk, a testament to the oldest human paradox. We dread the end. But gods, how we ache for it. Asterisk, even the staunchest rationalists now glance uneasily over their shoulders. Blavatsky, that moth-eaten oracle of the occult, is being whispered about in Silicon Valley boardrooms and climate summits not as a prophet, but as a provocateur who glimpsed shards of truth in her cracked crystal ball. Discard the mysticism, and her vision trembles with relevance, admits a futurist, his voice tight as a tripwire. 2025 isn't a cosmic deadline, it's a convergence. She mistook karma for causation, but her interconnected crises, we're living them. The data concurs. Arctic ice sheets crumbling like sugar cubes, supply chains snapping. AI vaulting past human comprehension, all threads in a single unraveling tapestry. An AI ethicist leans into the gloom, her face half lit by the cold glow of a neural network simulation. Blavatsky's psychic revolution was a metaphor in search of a mechanism. Now we have one. Algorithms don't just process data. They rewire desire, erode truth, mutate identity. Sound familiar? Her words hang, charged as storm air. Theosophy's ascended masters have been replaced by machine learning models. Yet the existential question persists. What becomes of humanity when our creations eclipse us? Skeptics scoff, but history hums with eerie symmetries. That damning soundbite, even flawed prophets ask the right questions, echoes through labs and lecture halls. A thorn in the side of empiricism. Blavatsky's greatest sin wasn't fraud. It was accuracy by accident. She painted the end times in occult hues. Yet her portrait captures our silhouette, a species intoxicated by progress, yet paralyzed by its consequences. The year 2025 looms less as her predicted apocalypse than as a mirror, one reflecting our refusal to heed warnings, no matter how garbled their source. So here we stand, at the edge of her shadow, forced to wonder, did the mystic nudge science, or did she simply cast a long, dark shape that our modern terrors rushed to fill? The answer may not matter. What chills is the dawning realization that her madness and our reason are converging on the same cliffside. And the storm has already begun to rise. Blavatsky's ghost has gone viral. In the flickering glow of TikTok screens, her 19th-century prophecies metastasize into digital age alchemy. 2025. Survival guides stitched together from the secret doctrine and influencer hustle culture. #apocalypse prep. Videos where crystal grids share frames with gas masks. Algorithms, those indifferent gods of the feed, breathe life into her spectral warnings. Splicing root races with QAnon's Great Awakening in a conspiratorial tapestry. A media analyst dissects the frenzy, her voice edged with grim awe. Mystery is engagement. Doom is dopamine. 2025 isn't a date, it's clickbait, forged in the deepest recesses of our collective ID. Scroll deeper, and the uncanny unfolds, AI-generated nightmares of cities melting like wax. Human-AI hybrids with hollow eyes. Landscapes where Blavatsky's purification by fire collides with cyberpunk decay. These glitch-art visions, rendered by machines trained on humanity's fears, feel less like fiction than leaked blueprints. Teens dissect her texts in live streams, mistaking her Victorian mysticism for hidden truth. Conspiracists map her *6th race onto anti-vax law and deep state paranoia. The result is a feedback loop of dread and occult panic for the post-truth era, where every climate disaster clip and AI breakthrough is stitched into Blavatsky's eschatological quilt. Yet, beneath the memes, lies a darker truth. Her resurrection exposes our hunger for narrative in the algorithmic void. We crave patterns, even those spun from fraud and folly, to cloak the chaos of existence. The AI ethicist whispers, she's a mirror. We fear machines replacing us because we've already outsourced our meaning to them. As the clock ticks toward 2025, Blavatsky thrives not as a prophet, but as a patron saint of digital disquieter, reminder that every age gets the apocalypse it deserves. Ours just happens to be hashtagged, live-streamed, and generated on demand. The veil hasn't torn. It's been pixelated. Blavatsky's 2025 is a funhouse mirror. Its glass warped by time and terror. We glimpse a prophecy, or the gaunt reflection of our own nihilism staring back. The ethicist's warning cuts cold. The danger isn't the prophecy itself, but the shadows it casts on desperate minds. Fatalism becomes fertilizer for extremism. Apocalypse, a license to either surrender or scorch. Yet look here, in the bleeding edges of the now, defiance flickers. Scientists dive into acidifying seas, grafting coral shards to dying reefs, like surgeons suturing a planet's wounds. Diplomats haggle over AI treaties in airless rooms, stitching together pacts as fragile as spider silk. Children flood streets, their climate strikes, less pleas than primal howls. We are here. We refuse to evaporate. This is the paradox of our precipice. The same era that resurrects Blavatsky's Victorian doom cults also births unglamorous, granular heroisms. Her cosmic purge may be delusion, but the raw ache beneath it, terror of insignificance, the hunger for meanings, our shared phantom limb. The closing truth thrums. The future isn't etched in mystic scrolls, but in the sweat-slick grind of choices made today. Will we let 2025 be a coffin or a crucible? The answer won't blaze in celestial fire, but in the dim glow of labs at midnight. In the stubborn clench of a protester's sign, in the whispered asterisk, what if, of 1,000 ordinary rebellions. Blavatsky's ghosts may haunt us, but they don't hold the keys. The sixth race, if it comes, won't descend from ether. It will rise from the mud and grit of those too stubborn to stop building, even as the storm gnashes its teeth. The veil never tears itself. We are the shears,